Hello guys, I'm back after quite a while. Today I'm gonna talk about the kinds of evidences which are given under the Evidence Act. Okay, so there are 9 kinds of evidences. First is the direct evidence. Now, what is direct evidence? Direct evidence means where any principal fact has been attested by a witness. Like it is very directly, like the name suggests, that any witness has clearly said that this principal fact, this thing happened in the case. It can either be a witness or a thing or a document that proves that this thing definitely happened. So it will be a direct evidence in that case. Alright, second one is circumstantial evidence. Now again, the name clearly suggests what it is talking about, where the circumstances of the case suggest that a particular thing happened, a particular situation occurred. So for example, where a chain of circumstances, like chain of things, are clearly indicating that this happened. Like a man went to a shop to buy a rope. Then after some time, the same man was seen carrying the rope towards a particular person's house, and after some time that man whose house he went to was found dead in that house. So if you can see a chain of things happening, and the circumstances are clearly showing it would be that man only who killed the man in the house with the rope. So that's how that is called the circumstantial evidence. So if a chain of facts are happening and clearly indicating, then that is also considered as an evidence for the court. Okay, so yes, so first we talked about direct evidence, then we talked about circumstantial evidence. Now third, we're going to talk about real and personal evidence. Now in this evidence, this is a kind of evidence where the judges, the jury clearly sees some evidence, like something that proves that something happened. For example, a knife was presented in the court by which the victim was killed. So it's a real or personal evidence which the jury has clearly seen. The judges in the court could see, any document also could be anything, which clearly is seen by the senses, felt by the senses of the jury. Alright, now the fourth one is hearsay evidence. Now hearsay means like in Hindi we say kaha suni baat, right? So like somebody heard via someone that this happened, and if that person goes to the court and says that he told me that this happened, that kind of evidence is called hearsay evidence. Now this kind of evidence is not admissible in court. No person can go and say, XYZ can go and say that I was told by Ram that he saw that Sita was kidnapped, something like that. So my hearsay evidence will not be admissible in the court. So it's also kind of evidence which is, though it's an evidence, but it's not really admissible, because you cannot believe on a third party what he heard from someone. It's really not possible to believe on someone like that. So yeah, so the court does not admisses that kind of evidence, right? So we've talked about 4 types of evidences: direct evidence, circumstantial evidence, then real or personal evidence, and hearsay evidence. Now the fifth one is primary evidence. Now it is said that the primary evidence is the best evidence in the court. For example, I'll give you an example for this. A document, for example, the case is between 2 parties, and the document on which there was an agreement between both, that document itself is produced in the court. Like that is the main thing, or the thing on which the whole case is based. If that kind of evidence is presented in the court, it is said to be primary evidence, and it is very easy for the court to decide. Or looking at that evidence, the matter, it gets really easy for the court to decide. So it's called the primary evidence, which is said to be the best evidence in a case. Now next is the secondary evidence. Now secondary evidence is the photocopies, for example the photocopies of the primary evidence. Okay, so like it is not the original document, but the photocopy or maybe certified copies, attested copies of the original, right? So these are called the secondary evidence. All right, so next is the oral evidence. Now like the name suggests, oral evidence is the evidence given by a witness in the court. It can be easily, you know, any person who's seen the incidents can come in the court and present his you know, he can discuss and can tell what he saw. But it requires proof. Like it is not right for the court to believe if any person comes and says, I saw this and this happened, but he has to prove that he actually saw it. The witness also has to prove it, right? So when a witness comes and, you know, presents his you know, he says that he saw the incident happening, then it is called a oral evidence. Next is the documentary evidence. Like the name suggests, it's a document which is presented in the case as an evidence. It is known as a documentary evidence. Now the last one is the conclusive evidence. Any evidence which like clearly shows that this particular thing happened, or you know, this person has committed the crime, or you know, it clearly shows, like there's no doubt for rebuttal, that there's no doubt that, you know, that this happened or not. Any evidence that clearly proves it is said to be a conclusive evidence in the case. So we have discussed 9 kinds of evidence. First is the direct evidence, second is the circumstantial evidence, then the third one is the real and personal evidence, then fourth one hearsay evidence, then fifth one we discussed was primary evidence, then sixth one secondary evidence, seventh one oral evidence, eighth one documentary evidence, ninth one was conclusive evidence. All right, so in all we discussed 9 kinds of evidence. Okay, this is it for the video today. I'll come back with some more interesting topics for you guys. Thank you.